Welcome to this week's episode of the Big Sleep Podcast. Ernesto and Nick here. I'm guessing we want to talk about the big news.
Uh, yeah.
You feeling it? Is that what you want to get into? Because I'll share a screen right now.
Why not?
All right.
Episode 6? We're on episode 6?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. Let's talk about this little ditty here.
Every
Nick's
time I
man.
hear that name, I think of like Waluigi, where he's like, "Wah."
Yeah. So the alleged assassin on the United Healthcare CEO has been apprehended out of a McDonald's, 10 days later?
Yeah, wearing the same stuff.
Well, so here's the deal. We saw photos. He's not wearing the same stuff, but I guess they found like the same mask, and then
Yeah,
he had
yeah,
the fake ID that was used in Jersey.
yeah.
Had the weapon and silencer apparently, allegedly. And then later there was a discovered notebook with a manifesto of sorts. Three
That's it.
pages.
Like, he broke it down into like bullet points too. Like, bullet point 1, this has nothing to do with Hillary Clinton.
I mean, the first thing on there was like, to the feds, uh, I'll keep this short because I respect what you do for our country.
A
So, yeah. And he's like, I wasn't working with anyone. Just took some elementary social engineering, basic CAD, and a lot of patience. And where the CAD comes in is definitely with the firearm used.
Oh, really? It was printed?
Yeah, that thing's squirted AF. If you look at the base here, that is, I mean, obviously I can't guess, but how this shines right here, it looks like it might be like a PLA plus or something like that lower. And then obviously he must have went out, got a magazine, got
Yeah.
the upper slide with a threaded barrel, put in the dropping components, and explains a lot of the potential malfunctioning, or if it was like a 3D printed suppressor. Um, if you watch the video when he's going in for it, lot of smoke and back pressure out of that chamber,
Oh, really?
causing him to have to rack it again or whatever. So I think that's pretty explanatory of the weapons malfunctions. That's the first thing that I thought of when I saw that video, is either is using too low um, speed of rounds, or he doesn't have a booster on his suppressor. I'm guessing the suppressor is most likely manufactured or 3D printed. I have a hard time believing that he has an NFA suppressor. And if that's the case, he probably didn't have like a Nielsen device or a booster in that suppressor, because obviously this looks to be a Glock printed lower. And with that, and you can even see the barrel on here, it's got the Browning action where the barrel tilts up after
Yeah.
every fire. So if he doesn't have that booster, there's a good chance that it's not going to fully rack or fully seat after it ejects that round every time. Hence why you see it
I mean,
pushing.
there's some detail on this lower though. Can you zoom in again to like some of those detailed parts? Up a little bit. Real trigger too, by the way.
Yeah, yep.
Nothing cheap.
I'm guessing. That looks like a Glock lower,
It's like
or
a
a
whole
Glock.
insert. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can print these lowers, and then you just have to buy this little metal rail that goes in here.
Yeah.
so that the top slide connects to it, and then there's a little U bracket in here in the front, and then yeah,
Yeah.
you just drop the trigger in, and you're good to go. And it looks like it has suppressor height sights on it already, so there's a good chance that he probably has or had a Glock, and then he just took the internals out of that and put it in here. I don't know. I mean, you can buy all of these items without any type of registration.
But like, why wouldn't you ditch it?
See, you remember when I was talking on one of the last episodes? I mean, I called it completely. I said my guess is he probably wants to get caught, and he'll have some manifesto that we'll end up reading.
Yeah, I imagine. Yeah, he definitely has some like some ideologies or something that drove him to doing this.
Yeah. Well, and word on the street is like he had really bad back pain before this happened, and then I don't know if you read the story about like what his mother went through or something.
I didn't hear any of that, but yeah, I heard about the back pain and then potential like psychedelic usage
Yeah.
and then
So
psychosis potentially as well.
uh
Alleged.
when they take him out of the cruiser and he's walking in the jumpsuit to the court, he's yelling. He's like, "This is, um, you know, this is what did he say? An insult to the Americans' intelligence and their lived experiences." That's what he screamed. And he was like running into the walls and kicking off of them and stuff. Like he looks like he might have some issues going on. Um, but yeah, I guess his mother or one of his family members, if I remember correctly, it was his mother had some type of like nervous system issue where she was in excruciating pain, like even walking to another room, and like health insurance, you know, you know how it is.
Yeah.
Um,
We assumed that. Yeah. That would mean that one was pretty easy to assume.
yeah, and he's talking about, we have the number one most expensive healthcare system, and we rank 42 in life expectancy. So that obviously there was an agenda there. What are your thoughts?
Uh I don't know. I mean, my moral compass is still in the same realm. I will never fall in love with CEOs. I think CEOs and publicly traded companies is a borderline useless title and only serves like the rich few.
Yeah. I mean, do you feel
But
like there shouldn't be like a head of a business? Because one could argue, do you argue that for a traditional like CTO or CFO or COO, like one
yeah, I think there
assigned
should
to
be a board, like
operations,
a
one?
chair. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, even military wise, like typically like what I have seen is like commanders be almost like worthless sometimes. And like their chair and their board makes all the decisions.
Oh,
I have seen a couple good commanders, don't get me wrong.
yeah. Well, especially in the military, I mean, you get to a point where it's more of a political spot than it is,
Right.
you know, being a general or something like that. But
Yeah. Especially like in garrison, like I couldn't imagine in like war, but like in garrison, like they are too risk adverse. Like they're not willing to
well, they don't
do
want their name attached to that.
anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I do. Yeah. I wish that there wasn't any one single figurehead because I don't think they make tie breaking decisions. And if they do, I would question the quality of it. Um Yeah, like why any one person would be able to czar a freaking tie-breaking decision. I think that like a board of directors better serves.
Yeah. And well, I mean, in public traded companies are established like that. I mean, the CEO is just like the spokesman and
Yeah.
all of that, but I'm with you. I was kind of curious where are all the. I mean, you go on social media right now and everyone's like, "This guy is our Lord and Savior," but it's the
Yeah.
same people that would complain about we need to ban firearms and you know our kids are gonna die because weapons are legal, like firearms are legal. Um, all of
I
those
don't know what
people
it's
haven't
like.
said a word.
I don't know what it's like for you, but my experience, like out of my relatively liberal friends, are like they're buying guns right now and they're getting out and shooting.
Good.
Like like they're going out and experiencing like what it's like.
Well, as you should if you want to like understand, that type of lifestyle. I mean, all I can think, one of the biggest people that was, I mean, very very liberal, um, almost to like their detriment. You know what I mean? Like it's their whole lifestyle, and they
Yeah,
don't accept any other input. I mean, changing their
I know a
pictures to
couple of
like Luigi on
yeah,
social media and saying, free that man or whatever.
yeah,
And yeah, I commented on one of them. I'm like, so you're good with civilians having the ability to be armed to protect against certain tyranny? No reply.
yeah.
Like 3 days,
That's
no
too much.
reply because they're not going
That's too
to.
much. Yeah. I mean, in the same breath, I don't think it's that CEO probably affected health insurance. Like, I don't think he killed as many people as what everyone initially believes. He might affect policies. For example, like he might affect a policy that determines if they lose 20% revenue to what prolonged anesthesia, like anesthesia that takes over 48 hours. Then
Blue
yeah,
Cross.
like Blue Cross, then they might make the decision to limit that down. But yeah, I don't think he's single-handedly murdered people.
Yeah.
But at the end
Well,
of the
and
day, if you're gonna have a single representative, guess what you're representative of?
yeah, yeah, and that's I mean, you are beholden to the shareholders, and
Yeah.
you are a for-profit company.
Yeah.
So obviously, decisions are going to be made in the interest of monetary gain,
Yeah.
which is it's crazy to me that people are surprised by that. But
It-
um,
like like why does insurance have commercials? Like State
yeah.
Farm, don't sue me. But like why does State Farm have commercials?
Well, the more policies they have, obviously, the more money they're making, but also the more cash they can have. Because I mean, they have to withhold a certain amount of the funds into an account for payouts. And the more cash that they have, if they use their own like banking subsect, which a lot of insurance companies do, a lot of them are moving away from it. Like I know State Farm is kind of cutting out the um like high interest savings or full bodied health insurance, like long term health insurance and stuff, or not health insurance, life insurance. But I mean, that's the every dollar they have, they can also send out X amount of that in loans and in other things. That like you deposit $1 at the bank and they can borrow out four. And that's how the
Yeah.
bank makes money.
I mean, you already know my basic principle is like they shouldn't be for profit at all. Like they shouldn't make an ounce of money. And like they should be nonprofit to where they pay their employers and then everything else pays either dividends or goes back into like the growth of the company of some sort and not for profit.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean that's a tricky subject too, because obviously people reinvest in their companies per se, but I mean that could be like buying a $100,000 company vehicle that the CEO drives, and that would be
Yeah.
considered like a reinvestment and could be
And
written
they're on
off.
salary, so they're working 24/7. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's ways. But $100,000 vehicle is way different than $10 million a year.
yeah, yeah.
No one, I mean, no one needs to make that much money.
I mean like $43 million a year.
Oh,
Yeah, that's like the average for average income for uh, health insurance.
just in case he needs a new yacht.
Yeah, base salary was 1 million. Um, but I mean, you talk about compensation packages and additional earnings. I mean, it was over 20 million.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I don't think any one person needs that much money, and I feel like, I mean, this is the point of the federal government. The federal government's supposed to serve the people, right? And break up monopolies, um, prevent capital gain from taking advantage of us, whether it's in forms of people or capital and like labor rights and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of middle ground there. Like, I'm okay with people making that much, especially if they, um, you know, were like a founder or they created something that, is worthwhile. Like, if you or I started a business and it popped off and we kept overhead low and we were making, a decent income, even if it was in the
Yeah,
millions, it's like that's one thing. But again, that comes down to like these board members and shareholders. Um, they can decide what they're going to pay these CEOs.
absolutely. It, yeah, I don't think Brian Thompson invented anything.
Yeah,
I don't have much money. Definitely not 40 some million, but I would bet a lot of it to say that he probably had rich parents, probably went to an Ivy League school, uh, maybe bullied this shooter or something at one point. But probably went to a school that I'll never be able to afford or like even have the opportunity to see from the road.
yeah, yeah. I can agree with that.
He got the job based on what principles? Friend of a friend?
Yeah, I just think that if there was more, I mean, yeah, we talked about this already, where it's like people have power, and when people grab, for example, if they want to grab car insurance, right, and they Google car insurance,
Yeah,
if they pick one of the first four results, that's like Progressive or State Farm or whatever, it's like, of course, you're giving in to giving money to like these few major insurance companies. There's other means to get that stuff. And I can see where it's like insurance is tricky because obviously the more policies you have, technically, in theory, the cheaper the policy you'll be able to offer to people because that's how group policies work. I mean, the whole point of insurance is all the healthy people pay for all of the people that aren't healthy. That's simply how it works. Um, and depending on what the payout is or what the health of that group pool is like, is going to determine your, monthly payment necessary. Um, and I think that if there was more focus on malpractice and consumer safety, I think a lot of this would be solved, along with people just deciding not to use certain companies for that stuff.
Ye yeah, but I mean, that's capitalism, right? Like, you have to go to Walmart because if you don't go to Walmart and you live somewhere where or you're a part of economic class that can't afford anything but Walmart, then, like, you have to go to Walmart.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't get to go to the local bakery.
I mean, I would argue, my point is I would argue that you could, uh I think that these companies coming into these small towns especially, it's like the small businesses obviously have to raise their prices because they're not getting the throughput that they used to. The problem is you just can't trust your peers. Like Walmart could be in my town, right? If
Yeah.
if people in my town were like, "Hey, we're not shopping at Walmart anymore," I mean, the building would go under in a few short months because they have
See
to
that?
have that throughput. Their margins are somewhat low, and it just wouldn't work. The problem is you can't count on anyone around you. Like people just they're sheep. That's the problem. Is even if our
Right.
town quit going, it's like you have all these smaller towns that will drive in to go shop there, and we had an agreement. We weren't going to get a super Walmart, but the city signed a deal with them like, hey, no compete, you can come in and build a super Walmart, and we won't allow another retailer in
Yeah.
here for the next 10 or 15 years. And it's like there's another instance where people in the community should have stood up to municipal politics and be like, go fuck yourself. We're not doing that.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't be around.
I mean, I could either go buy hunting pants from Walmart and pay, what, 10, $15, or I can go to, like, Bass Pro, drop
Mm.
$65 hairs.
Well, and I think the dawn of the internet could even be helpful, especially in these smaller places. Is like a lot of the goods that you could buy, more and more online entity retailers, like boutique style retailers, are becoming available online with shipping and stuff like that. And it's like if all else fails, you have modes to give your support to other groups of people.
Yeah. I also worry though, because I do think that's the migration is Walmart's online store is dookie. And I mean you'll start to see Amazon pockets, right? Like distribution centers like placed more sporadically. Maybe Omaha's got one or two now. Um
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you'll start to see them spread out, and then hopefully that means like local products could be stored at those smaller distribution centers.
As
But
they are now, I mean, I get the argument of like shitting on Amazon and stuff like that, but they do host like tens of thousands of small businesses that probably would not be on this planet right now if they didn't have Amazon as an outlet
yeah,
where they can ship their items, and Amazon handles all of the logistics, you know.
Mhm.
Like anything with Prime is at a warehouse and it's shipped by them, and
So I was a pretty avid eBayer. I got it from my dad. He used to buy sell trade on eBay like all the time. And eBay used to be a great place.
mm-hmm.
And I learned I don't know shit about economy. Everything I learned about economy was from Diablo 2, like trading runes for items and items back for runes, and then just trying to progress in the world, and World of Warcraft. Uh, so that being said, yeah, I don't know anything about the economy and never will, but eBay slowly became scams and like it was already like sporadically scams, but it
It be-
became all scams and trash, like and Chinese shit. And now I'm watching like the world over again with Amazon, man. Like it's
well,
so bad.
it's a repeat of Craigslist. I mean, Craigslist was like the best spot to go for local
Yeah.
anything. And then they started charging for like posting. eBay starts charging for like posting products. Um and yeah, obviously the Chinese
Craigslist did its own
Asian
vendor
market.
tags
Yeah,
because then
yeah.
like people started doing like a copy pasta tag, and
Yeah.
then like dealerships, you know,
Yeah.
I want to buy a used car, but a dealership shouldn't
Yeah.
be allowed to post in there.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. It's the same thing. As soon as people find a medium for having a platform, slowly, businesses move a little slower. They'll be like, okay, well, let's start posting on here. This has 13,000 followers. So let's use that. That's another free 13,000 people that we're not paying ad, you know, things for. So got to get that channel distribution up.
That What's up with the new social media for the libs? Like they're all flocking from X going to blue something.
Yeah, I heard about it. Something tells me that's not going to take off.
Is it blue? Is it blue sky?
Yeah,
I think it's blue sky.
that sounds right. Your whole face just went blue.
Yeah, blue sky social.
Yeah, I mean, conservatives tried doing the same thing on whatever that thing was called.
Trump. It's truth social.
No, it was like some other social media. I can't remember what it was, but they did the same
Yeah.
thing. It didn't work. Big surprise.
Yeah, man. I am tired of the decline in quality. Have you bought a shirt recently?
No,
And then like obviously the bullet for my Valentine.
this was from 2008. I'm just barely fitting in it here.
I don't even know what I'm wearing. I am talking shit. I bought clothes from Amazon and washed them, right? Made sure they fit, washed them the right way, and then the seam flips like almost immediately.
You have a thing for
Like
that, don't you?
dude, it
You got the
drives me
tism.
crazy. Yeah. Or like the bottom of the shirt like kind of rolls up. Like that's so dumb, man.
Nick gets overstimmed.
Like why should this is why we need to start a revolution because
Yeah.
us poor people shouldn't have to put up with flipping shirts.
Well, it's a race to the bottom. Like I do buy like 3 packs, like family packs of like socks, and then I buy black undershirts for work. And yeah, I mean it's hit or miss. Like there's some good companies on there that have decent shit. But like I do remember one of them, I put the shirt on and I like grabbed the bottom with like my hand with my thumb and I pulled it down and my thumb went through the shirt like brand new and I was like, "What the
Yeah.
fuck?"
Shirts are thinner.
Yeah.
Like and the seams they're not sewn as thick. Like the way that they're layered.
Yeah. And again,
Yeah, there's
convenient.
like YouTube videos on like the like Hollister, like Abercrombie, like quality clothing. Like they're not they're non-existent now.
Yeah.
Not that you're gonna catch me in a Hollister shirt, but it was still quality at the time.
Yeah, I remember when Hollister was in the malls. I don't know if they still are, but
Like a dungeon.
you remember like American Eagle?
Yeah.
Place was popping all the time, and I was like,
Not like cologne.
can I go to Paxson?
Yeah.
That's the only place. Just walk into
I've been like,
Paxson and then try to like walk by Hot Topic without looking inside. Like, don't even look in there.
God, as would say, I'm in Hot Topic, like looking for my boo thing.
Yeah. Oh no.
Some chick from My 600 Pound Life
Some
with blue hair.
dump truck goth girl with daddy issues, and you're like,
Yeah.
yes.
I love Hot Topic, man. It's like Lil Wayne shirt, sleep token.
Tupac,
Yeah, yeah.
marijuana leaf,
Yeah. And then right across the way is
like
oh
Captain
god,
America.
Spencer's.
Yeah,
Spencer's like
yeah.
it's all marijuana leaves.
Just kids running around flipping dildos around. Mom, what's
Yeah.
this?
Spencer's was great. Like as a little like novelty gift, like coffee mugs, like crazy shit. And then yeah, as a like teenage kid, you're like walking towards the back and then you get to like the very back of the store and you're just like,
The Peni.
yeah, all
I
the
did walk out of
stickers.
there when I was pretty young with like a flask, like a stainless steel flask, but there was an acrylic
Mm.
outer thing to it, and it was like
Yeah.
green with marijuana all over it. And I'm just like, I'm
Yeah.
taking this home. My mom's
Yep.
like, what the fuck is this, you fucking noob? Piece of shit.
Just no clue.
Get the fuck
Maple
out of here.
leaves, mom.
Yeah.
Eyes red.
Oh, she definitely would just steal the weed and step outside.
Too funny.
Did I ever tell you the story about getting busted with pipe?
No.
I was working at McDonald's, and this is like maybe a week or two after I rolled my car. So I had to take, I was borrowing my mom's car, but I got in to drive and she hopped in the back seat and she's like, hey, I'm taking the car after you go to work, and then like I can pick you up or whatever. I said, okay. So I'm driving. She's in the back seat right behind me. And we pull into the brand new pipe. I mean, like one of the, you remember when they came out with like the indestructible glass?
Yeah, that was it. You go to the store and they like
Yeah. So I had one of
drop it in.
those, but it was like a mushroom. Like it
Yeah.
was somewhat see through, but it had like the spores on it or whatever. And I had it in
Mhm.
my pocket, and I parked the car in the McDonald's parking lot, and I hear a tick, 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 and I'm like, fuck. And it fell between the seat crack. And I look back, and my mom's already hunched over, grabbing it. And the first thing she does is shove it in her nose and take a big old whiff, like checking it out. So obviously she knows what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah, she had to make sure you're smoking that good.
Yeah, she's like, "What's this ditch weed
No
shit?"
fucking son of mine's gonna
Yeah.
smoke.
What? All you can afford is Reggie's?
Yeah.
Uh,
Broke bitch.
no, but it hadn't been used yet, and it really like to this day that pipe was not mine. Like
Yeah.
I, one of the guys that I worked with at McDonald's had given me like $60 or something because I had someone going to another town to buy these. So he gave me the money, said, grab me one too. And
Yeah.
that was his. So like this dude gave me money. I had the pipe unused. I'm at the location, and then yeah, she takes it, and I'm like, motherfucker, I legitimately that's not mine, and I need to give it to this guy because he's giving me money for it. And she's like, too bad. I'm like, fuck. And then she went
Yeah.
home, raided my whole room, and then found like a baggie.
Yeah.
And she alleges that she flushed it down the toilet, but I highly
Dude
doubt
away,
that.
man.
And then what? A couple years later, like I haven't seen my mom for a year, and she's like, "Hey, do you know anywhere I can get some weed?" Like, fuck you, you fucking piece of shit.
Yeah.
God damn. Funny how how the turntables turn.
I've never smoked weed, but I know a guy who smoked weed and he like ran to his house real quick and he thought he was like getting away with murder, probably because he was baked out of his freaking mind. And runs into the house, like looks at the parents, is like, scurries upstairs, hides paraphernalia under the bed, right? Like, yeah, like a Walmart bag with like ding 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 ding, like the things are jingling in there. Hides it under the bed and then like scurries back downstairs. I'm sure just makes like another like awkward like and then like runs out of the house and then leaves and pieces out. And yeah, goes about his business the rest of the day and then comes back home and that Walmart bag is on the stairs and you can just tell like as soon as you pick it up that like all the paraphernalia in there was smashed into little fine pieces, which is impressive because yeah, those things are indestructible.
Got to curb stomp them a few times.
So,
Speaking of which, medical marijuana
oh
patch.
yeah, Nebraska,
Yeah.
Nebraska. Are they gonna fight it?
I mean, it already went to the like Nebraska through the Nebraska judicial system, and they said that it's warrant like it's valid. the
Yeah.
The vote was valid.
Hmm.
Um, yeah,
Well,
and I think they said something about. I thought I was reading somewhere like by December 16th or something that it's going to be full blown. But here's the weird thing: they can legally possess 5 ounces of medical marijuana. I mean, that's
okay.
yeah, that seems like a lot, but
Sounds like state patrol won't be as busy as what they used to be, though.
I mean, or they'll be very busy. Here's the deal: if someone smells marijuana in the car, it's still PC to go through that car,
Yeah,
even if it's legal. You know, if I mean
but you just
alcohol's legal, but if you smell alcohol, that's you're good to go. You know,
uh, like you don't have to do like a strip or anything like that. Like a like test like a salival strip or I don't know.
to be able to search the car or something or what?
Yeah, yeah. Like if it smells like weed, like
No,
hmm.
the odor of burnt marijuana gives you free reign to go through that car.
Oh,
Again, just because it's legal doesn't mean that you can do it in your car or like while you're driving or something like that. I don't know how that's going to change with medical marijuana because obviously you're going to smell marijuana. I mean, I guess it would be the same as alcohol. Like you smell the marijuana and then you could be like, hey, hop out of the car, do your fields, see if there's impairment or whatever. But I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Yeah, and they repealed the 1402. So I don't even know what's going to happen because they distributed scholarships to like 4,000 students for that as well.
oh, what was that one about?
The um
Student loan repayment.
no, like allocating funds for people that can't afford to go to a private school. They would give
Oh yeah.
the grants for them to go to a private school. But the whole point was is to encourage donations at the end of the tax season. And that's where I don't really understand. I can understand like, hey, separate, public funds allocated to private sector, but they're arguing like, well, the private sector, that's the church or whatever. okay, I can understand that, but there's private sector schools that
that aren't
aren't
religious.
religious affiliated,
Yeah.
and the money was in how I read the initial one was they were going to front load some cash into the account so that they could give out some grants and scholarships, and the idea was is that was going to be refunded as people would donate at the end of the tax season to that fund.
Yeah.
So it's more of like an upfront loan and not we're paying, taxpayer money to these grants. Like initially, yes, within the first year or two, but the whole idea behind it was that it would be paid back on that
Yeah,
donation
like
stuff.
money now versus money later.
Yeah, well, because you can't start a new thing without it being funded.
Yeah.
So, and then we need to figure out like with the sick leave how that's going to work too. 436 Nebraska Healthy Families and Workplace Act won't take effect until October 2025, but it passed with 75% of the vote.
Hmm. So it's going into effect fiscal year 26.
Pretty much. But employees can begin to earn at least 1 hour of paid sick leave for every 30 hours worked.
It's not bad.
No, I mean, I can agree with that. And then if we talk about like the federal stuff that wants to be done, like tax incentives for childcare, like if your mom watched your kids, you know, 4 or 5 days a week, like
Yeah.
she picked them up from school while you worked or something like that,
Yeah.
she could get some type of tax incentive.
But she would have to work as well. Like she wouldn't get kicked back. Like it would have to affect her ability to work.
No, no. The idea is all of these
Retirement.
people are uh, paying money and getting a tax incentive if they send them to like a daycare center,
Yeah.
which there's no benefit to like the family aspect of helping each other out or whatever because there's no incentive for you because you're not going to get a tax write off for letting grandma watch the kids and grandma's not
Yeah.
going to have any incentive for watching the kids. The idea of this would be, you know, you can get a tax incentive if you pay for her to watch them or she can get a tax incentive for watching them. So there's just like a little bit more benefit for that stuff.
Hold on. I have a delivery. Hey.
You text the wife and be like, tell the kid to
Yeah.
bring me a beer.
It's like I said tell Bentley to bring me Fireball and cider.
Nice. You got to teach him, young man.
Yeah.
Soon as
Love
my kid could
Fireball.
walk, soon as my kid could walk, be like, this is how you carry a beer. And she would just waddle around with a can and drop it in my lap.
The wife texts me back. Done.
Mission complete.
Like
Splash.
check that box.
Yeah. I played Path of Exile the other day.
What do you think?
Thought the game was going to be free, but this is the
Yep.
early access. So I didn't realize that it's not released. You're paying for early access.
Yeah.
I thought the
Unfortunately.
game was.
I'm usually against that.
I'm okay with that. Yeah, like I'm okay with. They have to fund somehow. And
Yeah.
I did pay for like one of the higher tiers, just because, I know they put a lot of work in. In
You're
Poe
more of a
one,
fan than I am.
yeah, in Poe one, did they have a store called the microtransaction store?
Yeah.
That's hilarious to me. Like they just call it what it is.
Yeah. They don't beat around. Like and I know that I put a little bit more time. You're a bigger fan than I am because you paid more money. Uh but I know I put a little bit more time in the Path of Exile than you did, and, like, the only
A lot more.
negative microtransaction is storage. There's this in Path of Exile 1, and I don't know about 2 because I haven't played much. I've been on the Marvel Rivals kick. And in Path of Exile 1, you can get storage, and you can get storage that like serves multiple purposes, like auto sorting, auto filter, like things that help
Mm,
you with trade.
quality of
Uh,
life stuff.
yeah, and trade is like on Path of Exile 1 was very um centric to like online, like being at like online trade and like going through essentially like a pseudo auction house. Um,
I just sell to
which
NPCs because I don't know what to do.
yeah, yeah, pretty much. And honestly, like solo self found is pretty fun on there. So, but what do you think about the action, like the combat? Because it's not arcadey like any other Diablo 3, 4, or Path of Exile 1.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be hard pressed to even consider um, Diablo to be arcadey combat. It's close. I'll give it that. But this one, the only thing that I kind of struggled with because I did Warrior or whatever,
Yeah.
and it's like I'm arbitrarily not hitting them because I'm not directly like hovering over them with my mouse,
Okay.
if that makes sense. So that bothered
Are
me
you
a
with
little bit.
Sod? Or you click to move?
I'm Wasad
Yeah, yeah.
with click to attack.
Yeah, which is new for ARPGs, relatively new.
I like that way better. That makes it's way more
Yeah.
intuitive to me because you can, especially with your dodging and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I think the combat's fun. Definitely needs some balance. Like especially for warrior, they have like that earthquake one, and maybe I'm just
Yeah.
bitching at this point, but the
No, you're not.
cooldown for earthquake
Mhm.
before the spikes come out is so long. It's like if you're going for crowd control or you're going for AoE damage, I can't have like a 6 second wait to have that AoE, you know? And I know that comes
Yeah.
along with like building out your party to have like a mage or something to assist with that, but I'm still pretty squishy for a
Man, a lot of
warrior.
people end up playing the game by themselves. I would like to play it with you, but uh Warriors and Melee is not in a good place right now.
Yeah.
That being said, somehow, some way, they're still like one of the most like the strongest builds in the game. Uh, After you wait that 6 seconds, if you're, it's like a glass cannon. Like if your character can wait out, like they're like one shotting bosses somehow.
Oh, I've not had that experience.
Yeah. What do you think of the bosses? They kind of move. It's less cluttered like Path of Exile 1 was, but it moves over to a little bit of like what Diablo 4 had, which was like the choreographed attack,
Yeah.
Dark Souls, like
Yeah. Um yeah, I've gotten through like the first few bits of it, and it is, if you die once, you should figure it out after that.
yeah.
Like if you die and then you go back to the same spot, it's going to be pretty much the same fight.
Yeah. You
Um
might get a new attack. Like, yeah, something that didn't RNG its way in the first fight. Or
yeah.
if you didn't make it to a later phase.
Yeah. Yeah, if you died early or something like that. It didn't seem it hasn't seemed super difficult. Like I have like died twice, I think, since I've played. And it was mostly just being like overwhelmed, like too much stuff going on and not being able to, again, the bosses that dish out like minions and stuff like that,
Yeah.
like balancing between knocking them out in between the boss's attacks and then like rerouting that. But I still have like the starter weapon, you know what I mean? Like I just get a club and there's been no weapon drops, and all of the weapons from the NPCs are like out of my budget, like not even close. But I did switch. I figured out the secondary
That's
weapons
it. That's what
menu.
this game's all about, man.
Yeah, and so I have a crossbow now, and it does like
Mhm.
7 shots. It's like
Yeah.
a shotgun, and yeah, I'll just pick people off. And I wish that it was a little more intuitive on like, and maybe you can do this, and I'm just not understanding, but it would be nice to have my hotkeys switch with my weapon switch.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're saying. So, like, yeah, if your primary ability is something different, then and that might be in the settings, you're right. Uh, yeah, I agree. I had the same issue. I'm currently playing a witch in which I am summoning on one, and it would be nice to have like a debuff move on the other.
Yeah,
And so I've often like I tried tinkering with it honestly at first. Like I set it up, I dragged it over to my left click and everything whenever I had a wand on, and it didn't. Yeah, it essentially just got rid of my summon that
yeah.
I wanted on there.
Well, especially for warrior, like I'll have my club and my shield, so that's my right click
Yeah,
and left click, and then like my Q E whatever QER. But then if I put crossbow in my secondary, it's like okay, middle mouse button is my crossbow. But if I want
yeah,
any abilities for crossbow, I don't have anywhere to put them. You see what I'm saying?
yeah,
So it is nice that I can run around and crossbow, middle mouse button a few times, and then just click, and I'm into melee because that's my hotkey setup.
yeah,
But if I was on crossbow and I wanted to add a crossbow skill, I'm out of hotkeys unless there's something I'm missing. Like I have all of my melee skills set to all of my hotkeys, and all I can do is basic attack on my crossbow because that's the last space I have, which is middle mouse button.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know if you can like key swap or if there's something else that you can do in there. I'm gonna have to go around and tinker the settings. Like I said, I love ARPGs. I mean, you know that. Like I've played Victor Vran, Titan Quest, freaking Adventures of Van Helsing, Diablo 1 through 4, and mobile, and
Yeah,
uh
that was his
Fortnite
favorite one.
1, 2, 3, Infinite.
Well, I think that's why, like Ash's creation, I am looking forward to
Yeah.
because they outright said anything that you can buy that helps with even storage is pay to win, in their opinion.
Yeah.
And
That's good.
if that's their statement, like imagine 99% of other things that are worse pay to win than that. If they're saying that's pay to win, hopefully that takes care of everything above it that's also pay to win.
Yeah.
But speaking of,
Yeah, I think a good philosophy
yeah,
maybe be a CEO.
I am a target rich environment for sure.
I'm
But
just
yeah,
saying, yeah, that's part of a CEO's job, right? Philosophy of a company.
yeah, direction, envision.
Yeah.
Um, no, speaking of pay to win, I melted down a bunch of the ships that I owned in Star Citizen
Oh boy.
and bought like with that money through an upgrade path. I bought like one of the largest ships that they just came out with, and so now I got that. So I'm one dude that owns a ship that needs like a minimum of like 3 or 4 people to operate. Like
Oh
I can
boy.
fly it, but I don't have any weapons because I don't have anyone in the weapons, you know, department or an engineer or anything like that. But I looked it up and apparently I've spent like four, $1,400 total over the lifetime of me having that game.
I'll do it, man.
Yeah.
It's how they get you.
It is
You
a
wanted
fun
me to
game though.
join. You were like, dude, just drop $60. You get this. It's not an entry level. You get like a medium entry level ship. You can
I
go up
stand
from
by it
there.
though. Like you don't have to play like I do. I mean, you can literally just buy a starter pack ship and experience the entire game without ever spending another dollar.
Are you saying that you could go your own way?
You could go your own way. Is that what you're setting me up for?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was
I
good.
still I still think you should get it though.
Yeah, maybe I will. But like,
Now you have a PC that can play it too.
that's true. Uh, have you seen our backlog though? Like, I still got to finish uh Return to Moria. The group, like Nolan and the boys, like we just started Marvel Rivals, which you haven't joined us on yet, and I'm disappointed.
After everyone said they weren't going to play it.
I never said that.
I have it installed by the way.
It's good. I think they're like, I say them. At least Nolan's online right now. Shout out. But yeah, they might even be playing tonight as a group. It's good, man. It's a good game. It
Yeah,
needs
he's
some
playing right
tweaking.
now.
It is NetEase. Ooh, that's a good topic. So, what do you think about the United States losing uh video game entertainment due to like its most recent like ideologies?
Like what? Like the entire
Like,
are you talking PlayStation guy or what?
just in general, like China is kicking out some freaking bangers, man. Black Myth Wukong, right? What's that freaking
I think that's
like
healthy.
first person, not first person. Was it first person shooter? Me and you played it. Me and Nolan played it.
What
Well, we
game?
all played it. It was a good game. Um, gosh, I can't remember the name of it right now.
Well,
But
people
yeah,
complaining.
China's
The whole person who started moving this, I think, was the old Sony or PlayStation guy,
yeah,
like one of the leaders for PlayStation. They're saying that like video games are losing popularity in America or whatever. When it's like, okay, but you're also releasing these things that you call AAA games that are what we talked about. Remember in one of the first episodes, minimal viable source.
yeah,
It's like you're releasing something that's not done, and
yeah,
that's not going to work. We're not paying AAA price for things where if the game is done, it's going to have a DLC in the first week and a half or some type of season
right.
that you have to buy after you just
Battle
bought the
Pass.
game.
Yep.
And then I think a big part of this too is Microsoft. I love Games Pass. I'm going to be honest with you. I think it's worthwhile. But when you have day one releases and stuff like that on Games Pass, Microsoft's paying that developer X amount of dollars for what they feel is going to be however many downloads. But I think that's kind of playing into it a bit. Is if I release a game on the subscription service, I'm gonna also release these other DLCs and add-ons to get money on top of that.
Okay. Yeah. I I don't know, man. Like I think it depends. Like if you come morally correct at a game and pull like a Vampire Survivors. Like have you ever felt guilty about any like microtransactions in Vampire Survivors?
There are none. Oh, unless you're talking about the like DLC
Like the
stuff.
mobile version has all of them, I think. But I think on actually mobile, like there's one of each. Like you can either get like a paid version or you can like micro hell yourself out of it. But
Oh, my Tesla has it
yeah, the
installed for
DLC
free.
too. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
so
that's Amelia just sits in the back with a PlayStation remote and plays Vampire Survivors.
that's what's up.
They just released a new game too on Tesla. I haven't
Oh
seen it
yeah,
yet, but yeah, I don't feel bad at all. I mean, that's what people are doing. They're shooting themselves in the foot.
I think that like there's a certain amount of what we've talked about previously, and you know where my morals lie, like inclusion and equality and stuff like that. But there's a certain amount of like forced pandering that like if your main audience isn't into it and you're telling like people they're wrong, and I've had to learn this the hard way. Like if you're telling a massive amount of people that they're wrong, then you're just doomed to fail.
Yeah. I just think they're snowballing themselves. They have buggy AAA games coming out. The microtransactions are horrible. The DLCs are shit. And then now you're adding in this like wokeism to it while
Yeah,
all this is going on. It's like talk about adding fuel to the fire. I think that's what's happening. So,
Gunfire Reborn. That's the game, dude. I've spent this whole time looking for that.
Fireborn.
Uh, Gunfire Reborn.
Oh, yeah,
Hunt
yeah.
with Wukong.
That was
Uh,
arcadey, but Gunfire was actually kind of fun because there was a lot of roguelike elements to it.
Genshin Impact, which is huge, man. As like as much as like neither of us like that's not our target. We're not into gotcha.
Yeah.
Like Diablo Immortal, um, Cyber Hunter, like a lot of these like mobile games, like that's Frostpunk.
Yeah.
Like these kids are playing that stuff, man. Marvel Rivals, like yeah, it's a NetEase game. Anyway, that's Marvel Rivals is what kicked it off. Like China's making games, man, and they're making good games versus I can't think of like what great games are popping out of the U.S. right now. Like
Yeah.
Path of Exile 2 is what they're from Sweden, I think.
Yeah, I believe it.
I mean, obviously a lot of video games come from like Japan, Sony, SNK, Nintendo. Speaking of that, Nintendo's still going after Pal World.
Yeah, they're going after him in other countries. But it's not working in the US like what they're trying to do.
I guess Pal World had to change their game. You can no longer eject the pal out of a ball. The pal spawns next to you. You can still catch with a ball, but you can't eject them out of a ball.
What?
Hmm.
Did not see that.
What do you think of that Google thing I sent you the other day?
Which one?
So essentially, you can make a whole environment. It's like proof of concept, like Genie 2. Google's new AI model turns one image into a infinite playable like world model.
I don't. Where'd you send me that? Because I don't remember seeing that.
It was on the old Discord 12/8/2024. But I know me and Nolan kind of disagree on this, but like that's the world I'm looking to, like and looking towards. Like I do believe like Amazon, like it'll create like a lot of like shovelware and a lot of like China trash, but I think that once it becomes more of like a tool that it's going to really serve to like boost the world, man. Imagine like you you have an idea or a picture or anything like that and you just want to get out there and
What's that?
explore it right now.
Have you seen the overlay software where they're like overlaying AI on games
No.
and it looks like legit?
I know Nvidia, and I downloaded it recently because now that I have this big D computer, everything it has to be way over the top, right? But I know Nvidia came out with a
Hey,
like was it ray tracing enabler for all games. Like it's like a beta mode where you can add ray tracing to any game,
That would be
which I'm
nice.
really excited for Call of the Wild, the Hunter.
What is that called? I want you to see some of these videos.
What do you think about AI becoming like a catch-all term now?
Oh,
Like
that's inevitable.
buy earbuds now featuring AI. Like welcome to hard cider with AI.
Yeah. Gosh, I just want to show you. Like people did AI over San Andreas,
Okay.
and it's insane. And you can like switch between like modes. Like you can put AI over something, and it'll be like, oh, now everything's made out of uh like knit, like unraveled graphics and stuff like that, or whatever. But they're overlaying
Interesting.
it over these old games, and the games look insane because they're overlaid. Like, yeah, someone did it for like Super Mario. Here, I'll send you this link. But essentially, they're using an AI thing that can see your screen, and it'll like real time change the stuff about it. And I don't know, it's hard to explain.
Hmm.
But like all of the footage from those videos are from actual games
It's like artificial anti-aliasing.
with AI. Yeah. Anyway, is there any other major things that you want to talk about on this one, or do you want to wrap this one up?
Um, Honestly, that's it. I mean, in line with this, like, gosh, me and Nolan watched a video last night that was talking about anti-aliasing. Like, so I guess games since like 2016, 2018 are being made with lesser quality than what they used to because modern game developers are dependent on AA like FSR 3
And
to improve
DLAA
their
and
game. Yeah, to improve their game so much that like they build it that way now. So like where previously if you had the headroom, you turn that stuff on, it really would make a difference.
yeah,
Whereas like or it would add like a couple frames, but you were already good to go. Whereas now, like if you turn all that stuff off and boost everything to the max, like it still looks like crap and you have
yeah.
to have FSR or TSAA and
I mean, I'm
TXAA.
glad those technologies are coming a long way, but I don't want to get to
But
a
what
point where, yeah, I don't want to get to a point where you can't just run, you know, your graphics card with the settings that are on there.
yeah. And they in the video they talk about how essentially they're coming with a lot of negatives like motion blur and artifacts. Like just
Motion blur for
natively.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And just blur in general. Like whereas like that's why it has like a lot of those have like a sharpening shader or like in there.
Yeah.
Like a scale. That's because like compared to like the OG graphics of a game, like they just naturally blur everything over and create all those like the bloom.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Well, let's leave it for that. Leave it at that for now. Uh, we'll catch you guys next week. Thanks for stopping in and listening. Reminder: YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, iHeartRadio. Am I missing any? Twitter or X. We're on there now. So make
Yeah.
sure to stop over to those other areas and hit us up. I think
Comment.
on the next one we'll come out with something where we can be contacted and we can read off write-ins and stuff like that. I think that'll be
Yeah.
pretty awesome. So
I
until
keep
next
checking
time,
YouTube to see if there's comments, and I haven't. I would like something to respond to.
yeah, we're down. We'll make it easier. Adios.
Peace.